Hello and welcome to another episode of the Golden Nugget. I am your host, Rob Gould, and as always, we will be going over the latest round of Premier League results and predictions, as well as predicting this coming week's Premier League action. Also, today we will be reviewing both the latest episodes of WWE RAW and SmackDown, and also chatting about some relatively big news coming off of the back of SmackDown. So, without further ado, we will get started into the predictions from last weekend. Or, sorry, the weekend just finished, should we say. So, we still have one more game to come, which is, as I say, this evening, which is as of this is recording on Monday. And as of Monday, we still have the Brentford versus Manchester City game to go. So, without further ado, kicking off things with the match between Everton and Spurs. I predicted this one was going to be an away win for Spurs, but this one finished a draw. It finished 2 goals apiece. Then we had Brighton versus Palace, which I went for predicted a home win, which it was as Brighton won the game 4 goals to 1. Then we move on to Burnley versus Fulham, a game that I had Burnley down as the win because they need the win. But this game finished a draw, finished 2 goals apiece. Then we move on to Newcastle versus Luton. Now this one I did thought could have went either way, but I was very very wrong. And the game finished. I predicted Newcastle to win, but it finished a 4-4 draw. Then we move on to Sheffield United versus Aston Villa. Again, I predicted an Aston Villa away win, and that which it turned out to be as Aston Villa ran out 5-0 winners. Then we move on to Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Again, I predicted this one for a home win, and this turned out to be a 1-1 draw. So a big point for Forest there in that game. Then we move on to Chelsea versus Wolves. I predicted an away win for Wolves here against Chelsea. Not many people probably would have backed Wolves to beat Chelsea, to be fair here, but as I say, they went out winners 4 goals to 2. Then we move on to Manchester United versus West Ham. I predicted this one to be a draw, thinking that West Ham would actually, would have done better than what they did. And it finished Manchester United 3, West Ham United 0. Then we move on to the big game of the weekend, which was Arsenal versus top of the table Liverpool at the Emirates. And it finished Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. And that was Liverpool's only second defeat of the season. But how crucial a defeat could this be? Because obviously you've still got a good bit of the league to go. Manchester City do have 2 games in hand, but obviously you'd rather have the points than have the games in hand. Plus, you still don't know what the outcome of Manchester City's, things going to be as well down the line. And then, like I said, we do have Brentford versus Manchester City. I am predicting a home win for Brentford because I think they could pull off something there. But as I say, we will not know until this evening. Um, as I say, obviously this will be going out on Thursday. So by Thursday, we will know the result. And so for those who do want to know the result of it, tune in. As I say, obviously I will put in the comment section that the result was such and such, so people know that the result was what it was. So, with that being said, as always on a recording of the Golden Nugget, we will be doing a live prediction as going forward with doing these as well. And obviously we have FA Cup replay matches this week, which I will not be going over. But however, I will be going over Premier League predictions for this coming week, which I will put here and right here. So I will write these down as we're recording live, and that again, as I say, things as it will get interesting coming into this time of the season and that. So we've got big games, games that you would expect the big teams to win okay this weekend as such, and that. But again, it's whether that happens or not, as well as the question. So, as I say, we will go over these as well. And just writing these down. So, as we are writing these down, I will go through the first couple, and that of matches and also predictions as well, while also writing the other ones down. So, starting off, we have got Manchester City versus Everton, which again, it's one of those ones where not only could it go either way, but it just depends on the team that turns up for Everton, and I think that's the only issue I have there. If it's the good Everton team that turns up, and that, but I think Everton have a point to prove, and that so they do, especially against uh, Manchester City, because I feel that Everton Manchester City won assist because obviously with the Rodri handball incident from a few seasons ago, where in my opinion had cost Liverpool the title in that game because Liverpool went out and won every single game after that. But if it hadn't have been for that match, and if it hadn't have been for that bad call by the VAR, saying it hit the sleeve portion of Rodri's shirt, and that he didn't move his arm to the ball, which he did, then I would feel that Liverpool would have went on to actually lift the title. But in truth, as I say, who knows? As I say, the title could end up going to Liverpool in the end, depending on what happens with the whole Manchester City thing and that. And then, so who knows? But as I say, I will predict that match will finish. I'm going to go as far as saying it'll finish a draw. I can see Man City scoring, but I can also see if Everton go at Man City, I can see them getting something. So I'm going to predict a draw for that match. Then we have. Oh, sorry, I wrote down the wrong team there actually. Yeah, I was getting myself ahead of myself there. So we'll have Fulham against Bournemouth. Again, a game that could go either way, but Fulham at home they're usually quite good. So I'm going to predict a Fulham home win for that game. Then Liverpool versus Burnley. Again, I think this is a 3 pointer for Liverpool, and that they dominated Burnley at Turf Moor just before. I think it was just before the New Year, as such. Um, and I mean it could have been a bigger score than what it was. So I'm going to go for a Liverpool home win. Luton versus Sheffield United. Again, I think this one's going to go down as a Luton home win. I feel Sheffield United are really struggling at the moment. I feel that they could go down. I think they're one of the favourites to go down. And I feel sorry for them in a sense because, obviously getting promoted and that, and then, going down again and that. But that's what happens in football. Spurs versus Brighton. Again, this one is a tough one to call. Spurs, they've been unlucky in some of the matches that they've had recently, but they've been scoring some good goals and that and playing some good football. Brighton are a good footballing team. So some people might say this has draw written all over it because of that type of style of play. But I think I'm going to have to give the advantage to Spurs here because they're the home team. So I'm going to go for a home win for Spurs. Wolves versus Brentford, again, another tricky match. Depending on how Brentford do on Monday, as such against Manchester City, I think that they could actually pull off something against Wolves. So I'm going to predict this one to be a draw, but I would not be surprised. As I said, Brentford win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves won it either because Wolves are the home team. So, but Forest versus Newcastle again. This one, it's a game Forest I think need to win. Do I think they could win? don't know. Newcastle, obviously, as I say, they beat Chelsea a couple of games ago there as well. And that, and I can see them doing damage against Forest here as well. So I'm going to predict an away win, which is the first away win of the weekend so far here that I'm predicting. Then we go into West Ham versus Arsenal at West Ham. Again, Derby, as I say, you would think that West Ham would throw everything at this game. And that Arsenal, obviously, coming off the back of the win, um, as I say, against Liverpool there on Sunday. You just don't know what Arsenal are going to turn up. And this is the thing, like Arsenal could get the win against Liverpool and all of a sudden they get beat by West Ham and then it knocks them back again. Do you know what I mean? So this one I'm going to predict a draw. But again, like the Wolves and Brentford match, I can basically see this going either way. Now Villa versus Manchester United at Villa Park. Now United are starting to play a bit now, and that over the past couple of matches. But Villa at home have got a very, very, very good record, and that so they have. So I am going to predict a home win for Aston Villa. Going on the basis of basically a few things, because obviously Manchester United there, to me, again, you know, Onana should have had a penalty conceded against him against the same team for the exact same thing, where he punched an opponent's in the face. He missed the ball completely, punched the player right in the face, and that took him right out. And again, VAR didn't even. I don't even know if they looked at it, but why they didn't give a penalty for that, I'll never know. They never gave a penalty for the first one, and they should have, because it was dangerous. To me, it was a dangerous foul play. But again, they are not doing anything about it. Then we have Crystal Palace versus Chelsea, which is on the Monday night football of next week. Again, Chelsea not playing the best. Palace, again, very inconsistent. This has draw written all over it. It really does. And I'm going to predict a draw for that game. So, folks, there you have it. That is the predictions for next weekend's matches. Obviously, I will fill you all in on the result between Brentford and Manchester City when the recording goes out on Thursday, and that on YouTube and on, as I say, obviously Spotify and Amazon. So obviously in the comment section on YouTube, I will let people know what the scores were. For those who want to know what the scores were for that game, whenever they listen to this audio back on the Thursday, what I will do is basically on my social medias, I will basically put up obviously that the recent score for this game would be whatever it turns out to be this evening. So, folks, we will move swiftly on to review what happened on the 30th of January edition of Monday Night Raw, and also the 2nd of February edition of SmackDown, in what turned out to be quite a busy and big week for the WWE. So, as I say, we will kick things off there. Obviously, Raw had kicked things off with CM Punk, obviously, just off the Royal Rumble, where CM Punk obviously disappointed that not only did he not win the Rumble, but he suffered an injury. Basically, the injury will keep him out of WrestleMania, which was the big news. Well, part of the big news. But then we had Drew McIntyre, who showed up and basically attacked CM Punk, even though he was already injured. And that. And then you had Sami Zayn had saved Punk getting further injury by coming out and trying to defend him. Then you had DIY going up against the Judgment Day for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships in a really good game, good match. And with the Judgment Day obviously retaining the titles in a really back and forth match. He actually thought at one point that DIY were actually going to walk away with the tag team titles, but unfortunately for them, it was Judgment Day that walked away with the win. Um, and as I say, Damien Priest called out R-Truth, and basically he'd said that he'd apologised for what he'd done at the Rumble. His emotions got the better of him, type of thing. R-Truth went to forgive him, type of thing, and that. And then the next thing, as I say, Damien Priest said that he didn't want to be the one that had to do this. So the next thing, JD McDonough attacked R-Truth, and then the rest of Judgment Day had teamed up and had attacked R-Truth. Then you had The Miz come out and try to save R-Truth from being pummeled, but the rest of Judgment Day teamed up on both of them, and I say the rest was history. They were both laid out after Judgment Day had retained their tag team titles. Then we move on to Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, in which the match was won by Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Then, as I say, Cody Rhodes comes out, basically comes out to, obviously, the ovation that he always gets. And as Samantha Irvin had announced, that Cody Rhodes, welcomed the wing by, obviously, he was the winner of the 2023 and 2024 Men's Royal Rumble winner. And Cody liked that entrance so much that he got her to say it back to him again. And that. And it was sort of a spine-tingling moment in that sense of it. But he came out, Cody Rhodes cut a promo, and was basically said about, what did he want to talk about, kind of thing. And as he was saying that, next thing, Seth Rollins had came out and basically said to Cody that you should be challenging for this championship. You should be challenging for my world championship, not the one that Roman Reigns has, type of thing. This is the one you want to be going for. This is the workhorse title. You don't want to be going for a title that's only been defended like 3 or 4 times over the year. You want to go for one that's been defended more times than you can remember. Basically calling the other championship basically a Hollywood title type of thing. But in my opinion, this might just be my opinion, but as I say, let me know your thoughts on this. But my opinion is of the WWE championships, that the championship that Roman Reigns has, it's the undisputed Universal Championship. But to me, it'll always be the bigger of the two championships that WWE have currently going at the moment. Obviously, the Intercontinental is big as well, but I would say there's more history in the Intercontinental Championship than there is in the belt that Seth Rollins has, because yes, it's a new belt. It's near enough pretty much the same name as what we used to have before. But however, I still believe that Roman Reigns' belt is the bigger of the two belts. And if Cody was to challenge for Roman's belt, that's the one he should be going for. But we will get into that very, very shortly as well. And basically, Cody Rhodes says that he will think about it. And next then we had Jey Uso against Bronson Reed. And obviously Jey Uso won this match with a spear and then an Uso splash. Then we had Gunther versus Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental Championship, in which was a really, really back and forth and really, really good match. But it was Gunther, the ring general, who retained. And then after the match had finished, Imperium had attacked the New Day after that as well. Then we had the Kabuki Warriors taking on the team of Natalia and Tegan Nox, with the Kabuki Warriors picking up the victory. Then for the main event of Monday Night Raw, we had Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, with Drew picking up the win and leaving Raw with Sami Zayn with his tail tucked between his legs. Then we move on to Friday Night SmackDown. Again, as I say, this is obviously with Raw is a 3 hour show, SmackDown is down as a 2 hour show type of thing. So whenever I was looking back to see how many matches there was actually on this card for it being a 2 hour show, there were only 3 matches on the card, which it's not great. Do you know what I mean? It's a wrestling show. Do you know what I mean? And yes, it's meant to be entertaining and things like that, but you should really be having more wrestling on the show. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you'd only have a few couple of matches and things like that. You know, you weren't really using, the whole main roster type of thing. And this is why sometimes people get annoyed and wrestlers get annoyed at not being used right and not being utilized and things like that. You know, yes, you want to build a story, you want to have a chat with with the story. That's well and good. But if you're going to do that, make SmackDown 3 hours with like Raw. Do you know what I mean? Because SmackDown can be either better or just as good as Raw. So why not have SmackDown the same length of time as Raw? Do you know what I mean? Because to me, it has to be a fair amount, and SmackDown just does not seem to be getting a fair amount and that of time to really sort of do much with each week. But anyway, Cody Rhodes as he came out, basically, obviously to the invasion. Obviously, Roman Reigns was already in the ring. Cody Rhodes was coming into the ring, and basically he said that he that he was going to finish the story, but it wouldn't be at WrestleMania because he has someone else basically that who Roman Reigns knows very, very well. And the next thing, The Rock came out, had a stare down with Roman Reigns. Didn't actually say that I'm challenging you for your title, but you could kind of see in the eyes and the look of the one like, yeah, this is happening. But the question is, when is it going to happen? Is it going to happen at WrestleMania? Is it going to happen at the Elimination Chamber? The big thing that's come out of this is the fact that like it has wrestling fans talking about it. It's created a buzz, a good buzz considering that they've needed this kind of buzz, and because of that, as I say, there people are talking about that more than the other sort of stories that have been has been reported. So, but with that being said, what are your opinions, folks, on that issue with Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Roman Reigns? Do you think Cody Rhodes was stupid to give up his spot, his place to The Rock, just to save the company and to save WrestleMania as such as well? But also, do you think that Cody Rhodes will now challenge Seth Rollins for his title? Again, only time will tell. And obviously, with the Elimination Chamber coming up as well, obviously you would think there should be matches made now for Elimination Chamber match now, with obviously Io Sky defending her Women's Championship now, which had been announced as Bayley had announced that she will face Io Sky at WrestleMania after the attack from Damage Control on Bayley on SmackDown. But that will be interesting because there was no Dakota Kai on SmackDown. So whether or not, as to what corner she will be in when it comes to WrestleMania. Because don't forget, it was Bayley who brought Io Sky back and Dakota Kai. So what will happen going forward for that? Be an interesting thing. Obviously, the Kabuki Warriors, obviously they are the tag team champions. That will you see a split in Damage Control as such, more so as in obviously if Bayley's no longer a part of the Damage Control, which she started up, will Kabuki Warriors take that mantle? Will Io Sky take that mantle as being the leader of damage control? Will they form a new group? Will Dakota Kai, as I say, when she comes back, will she form up with Bailey? Or will she stay on the side of Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors and stay together as damage control? Or go their separate ways? Who knows? But again, it's more to talk about. And that's what we love. That's what us podcasters and fans love to talk about is and to give something more fresh as well. Yes, did we know it was coming? Yes, we probably did. But it's the fact that it came and the fact that it's coming at WrestleMania. Now, is it night one, night two? Again, closer to the time, we will get to that. Because WrestleMania, folks, is less than 2 months away. And it will be interesting to see from that as to what happens going forward. So yes, so on SmackDown, so obviously you also had Kevin Owens against Austin Theory, which, as I said, Kevin Owens won the match. Then you also had Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in tag team match. They basically defeated Pretty Deadly, LW, and Legado del Fantasma. So basically, the winner of this match goes on to face our winner, a tag team from Raw who wins their match, and they'll meet in a tag team match to determine the number one contenders for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Whether this match will be a WrestleMania match down the line, we don't know. It could be, as I said, it just could be a match where it could be on Raw, it could be on SmackDown, it could be the next, As I said, I can't see it being at the, it could be it could be Elimination Chamber. Who knows? We just don't know yet. But hopefully we will find out some answers over the next couple of weeks and that regarding the tag team situation. And as I say, also on SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton, who has officially signed from NXT to SmackDown, she obviously made her main roster debut there at the Royal Rumble as a part of the NXT roster kind of thing before being signed to SmackDown. So we now have Tiffy time on SmackDown, and she picked up her debut win on the main roster against Mishin with the prettiest moonsault ever. But folks, again, we will discuss in detail very soon, very, very soon, especially leading up to WrestleMania, of the fact that with what happened on SmackDown with the whole Cody Rhodes and The Rock situation, leading into WrestleMania, is it a good idea for the WWE to basically say, look, The Rock versus Roman Reigns should be the headline of one of the nights of WrestleMania? I can somewhat agree to it, and it's one of those ones where would you've taken it at the time when it was supposed to be? So, as in, this match was supposed to be set in stone to happen last year. It didn't. We obviously got Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns. But the fact that you could have Roman Reigns against The Rock this year, it's not the main event that people would want or have been looking for or been wanting, which is the thing compared to whenever the fans were like, clamoring that they wanted The Rock, they wanted, Rock to be at WrestleMania, they want Rock against Roman Reigns. And then all of a sudden it's like whenever they get it to happen, some fans just don't seem to want it. Was it because of the whole CM Punk, not having his his win at the Rumble, obviously picking up an injury and things like that didn't exactly help him with regards to that. But as I say, these things happen in wrestling. They are freakish things that happen in wrestling that change the complexion of of the likes of WrestleMania. But one of the things for sure, it will get interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. Will The Rock keep showing up at SmackDown? Type of thing, because like The Rock, I wouldn't exactly say The Rock's been on SmackDown more times than what Roman Reigns has over the past couple of months, but the fact that he has been on SmackDown, and the fact that obviously you've got the Elimination Chamber coming up, will the title be on the line against Cody Rhodes there? Maybe Cody Rhodes might actually use his WrestleMania spot in that match at the Elimination Chamber. Um, who knows? Will we find out in Raw tonight? Who knows? Again, obviously Raw is all tonight. So once this episode goes out on the Thursday, obviously I will watch Raw over the next day or two and stuff. We'll take notes as per usual, and we'll review it, as I say, next week on the episode as well. And hopefully next week, folks, I will be joined by a special guest next week's recording as well, where we will be talking about wrestling. We will also do a prediction off, and that which will be the first on the podcast. So my guest and I will, as I go over the predictions for the following week's matches, and I will write them down. So I will write my predictions down. I will write their prediction down, and the winner of said so winner of said prediction office such will receive a McVitie's chocolate gold bar as winner of that as well. Because folks, that is what I'm going to look to do. So whenever I have a guest on and we're doing a prediction off type of thing and that, and when it comes to who has the most kind of prediction, who's won the most that week type of thing, they'll be tallied up. So if I got 7 and they got 6, then I would win. Type of thing. But if I got 6 and they got 7, then they would get a wee gold bar, and for being the victor of the prediction off. So, folks, again, these episodes, I would say, go out on a Thursday, and like I say, some shorter than others. Whenever they go out, some like I say, usually I would try and do them up to about an hour, half an hour minimum. Anything up to an hour is fine for me. Again, folks, with the socials, as always, Facebook, Rob Gould, Twitter /X, Rob Gould, TikTok, Robert the Great with 2 8s, gouldenonerobgould at gmail.com for the email. And folks, if you want to get in contact with me about anything that's on the podcast, or if there's anything that you want to ask on the podcast and not let me know, I will do my utmost to get that. And also, just before I go off, I want to thank and wish congratulations as well to the saviors of Destiny for becoming the new Titanic Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And as I say, obviously, if you checked out the socials on the 5 marks on Instagram, basically on the Instagram short there, so I done a wee interview just after the match with the Saviors of Destiny, and as I say, they had a few words to say, and that, and so check that out. It is on the Instagram story on the 5 marks. So if you check that out, it is available there at the moment. But yes, folks. So as always, If there's one thing that you don't already do, and that is to acknowledge the golden, because Rob Gould is here to stay.